What if I told you that for over a century, 3 bronze church bells held the power to heal wounds between 2 nations? What if I told you these weren't just any bells, but witnesses to one of the most shocking massacres in American military history? Today, you'll discover the hidden truth behind the Balangiga Bells. September 28, 1901. A peaceful morning in a small Filipino town. American soldiers are eating breakfast. They have no idea that in the next few minutes, most of them will be dead. The bells of Balangiga Church begin to toll. But this isn't a call to prayer. This is a death signal. Within minutes, 48 American soldiers lie slaughtered. Machetes, clubs, kitchen knives. The attack is so brutal, so unexpected, that it will haunt the American military for generations. But here's what nobody tells you about that morning. It didn't start with hatred. It started with hope. August 11, 1901. Company C of the 9th U.S. Infantry Regiment arrives in Balangiga, a sleepy coastal town on Samar Island. The mayor, Pedro Abayang, greets them with open arms. The locals share their food, their stories, their culture. For weeks, Americans and Filipinos live side by side. Children play together. Soldiers help with local projects. Everything seems perfect, but beneath the surface, something dark is brewing. And this is where everything changes. September 22nd. 2 drunk American soldiers spot a young Filipino girl. They attempt to assault her. Her brothers fight back, beating the soldiers bloody. Captain Thomas Connell is furious. His solution? Arrest every adult male in the town. Imagine this. You're a peaceful farmer, a father, a shopkeeper. Suddenly, foreign soldiers storm into your home and drag you to a makeshift prison. Your only crime? Being a man in the wrong place at the wrong time. The women and children of Balangiga watch in horror as their husbands, sons, and fathers are herded like cattle into overcrowded detention areas. But what Captain Connell doesn't realize is that he's just lit a fuse. The town's leaders meet in secret. They have a choice: submit to humiliation or fight back. They choose war. Here's the shocking part about what happened next. The plan is brilliant in its simplicity. The townspeople will stage a fake funeral for children who supposedly died of cholera. It's the perfect cover. Who would suspect mourners? September 28th. Dawn. The funeral procession begins. Women carry small coffin. Men follow behind, heads bowed in grief. But inside those coffins aren't dead children. They are weapons. The procession moves slowly toward the American garrison. The soldiers watch with sympathy. They see a community in mourning, not an army preparing to strike. The church bells remain silent. Mayor Pedro Abayang approaches an American sentry. They chat casually, as they have for weeks. The soldier trusts him completely. That trust is about to cost him his life. At exactly 6:45 a.m., Abayang draws a concealed pistol and shoots the sentry point blank. The church bells of Balangiga burst into frantic tolling. This is the signal for hell to break loose. From every direction, Filipino fighters emerge. Coffins burst open, revealing bolos, machetes, and captured rifle. The mourners throw off their disguises and become warriors. The Americans are caught completely off guard. Many are still in their underwear, eating breakfast. They have seconds to react. But here's what nobody expected. The Filipinos aren't just fighting with weapons. They are fighting with every. Kitchen knives become daggers. Cooking pots become shields. Even the women join the battle, wielding whatever they can find. The garrison becomes a slaughterhouse. Company C has 78 men. When the smoke clears, 48 are dead, 22 are wounded. Only 4 escape completely unharmed. It's the worst defeat of American forces in the Philippine-American War. But this massacre will trigger something far worse. The American response is swift and merciless. General Jacob Smith receives orders that will echo through history: I want no prisoners. I wish you to kill and burn. The more you kill and burn, the better it will please me. Smith's infamous command: make Samar a howling wilderness. What follows is systematic destruction. Entire villages are burned, crops are destroyed, wells are poisoned. Conservative estimates put Filipino civilian deaths at over 2,500. Some historians suggest the number is much higher. This is where the bells become prisoners of war. American forces storm back into Balangiga. The town that once welcomed them with open arms is now reduced to ashes. But before they leave, they take trophies. The 3 bronze bells of Balangiga Church are ripped from their tower. These aren't just pieces of metal. They are the voice of a community, the heart of faith, the witnesses to unspeakable violence. And now they're being taken 8,000 miles away from home. But here's what makes this theft even more devastating. 2 of the bells end up at F.E. Warren Air Force Base in Wyoming. The 3rd goes to a U.S. Army base in South Korea. They become display pieces, conversation starters, symbols of American military might. For the people of Balangiga, It's like having their souls stolen. Decades pass, the bells gather dust in foreign lands while in the Philippines, quiet campaign begins. Mothers tell their children about the bell. Children grow up and tell their own children. The story passes from generation to generation. The bells become more than historical artifacts. They become symbols of injustice, of cultural theft, of wounds that refuse to heal. And this is where the story takes an unexpected turn. A new voice joins the campaign for the bell's return. President Fidel Ramos makes an official request to the United States. The response? Silence. President Gloria Arroyo tries again. More silence. The years crawl by. Filipino veterans of World War II, men who fought alongside Americans against Japan, watch the clock tick toward their own deaths. They've spent their entire lives waiting for justice. But what nobody realizes is that across the Pacific, some Americans are fighting for the bells too. In Wyoming, a group of military historians begins questioning the display. Is keeping war trophies really honoring military heritage? Or is it perpetuating historical injustice? The debate creates unexpected divisions. Some veterans see the bells as rightful trophies, earned through blood and sacrifice. Others see them as stolen property that should be returned. But here's the shocking part about what changes everything. Rodrigo Duterte becomes president of the Philippines. His relationship with America is complicated, often hostile. But behind the scenes, quiet diplomacy continues. U.S. Defense Secretary James Mattis begins private negotiations. He understands something crucial. Sometimes the strongest nations show their strength through acts of grace, not displays of power. Meanwhile, in Balangiga, an 89-year-old woman named Remedios Feliciano waits. She was 7 years old when the bells were taken. She spent her entire life hoping to hear them ring again in her hometown. Time is running out. December 11, 2018. A U.S. military transport plane touches down in Manila. Inside its cargo hold are 3 bronze bells, finally coming home after 117 years in exile. The crowd that gathers at Villamor Air Base numbers in the 100. There are veterans in wheelchairs, children holding Filipino flags, grown men weeping openly. Defense Secretary Mattis makes a simple but powerful statement: we return these bells as a sign of our enduring friendship and alliance. But this moment is bigger than politics or diplomacy. For 117 years, these bells have been silent witnesses to one of history's most complex stories. They've seen the worst of human nature, the massacre, the retaliation, the decades of stubbornness and pride. But they've also seen the best, the quiet advocates who never gave up, the historians who chose truth over comfort, the leaders who chose healing over winning. When the bells are finally uncrated, something magical happens. The crowd falls silent. For a moment, everyone present understands they are witnessing more than the return of stolen property. They are witnessing the possibility of redemption. December 15, 2018. The bells return to Balangiga itself. The entire town turns out. Some of these people are descendants of the original fighter. Others are descendants of the massacre victim. All of them are witnesses to history coming full circle. Father Serafin Tibico, the parish priest, prepares to ring the bells for the first time in over a century. His hands shake as he grasps the rope. The first toll rings across the waters of Balangiga Bay. It's the same sound that signaled violence in 1901. But today, it signals peace. The second toll echoes off the mountains of Samar. The third toll carries across the years, connecting past to present, pain to healing. As the bells continue to ring, something extraordinary happens. The crowd doesn't cheer or celebrate. They simply listen, as if the bells are speaking in a language older than words. And maybe they are, because these bells have learned something in their 117 years of exile. They've learned that violence creates cycles that can last for centuries, but they've also learned that those cycles can be broken. Here's what nobody expected about this ending. The return of the Balangiga bells doesn't erase history. The massacre still happened. The retaliation still happened. The pain is still real. But something else is also real now. The understanding that nations, like people, can grow beyond their worst moments. That admitting historical wrongs doesn't make a country weak, it makes it stronger. That sometimes the most powerful thing a victor can do is give something back. In the months following the return, something beautiful begins to happen. American and Filipino historians start working together, sharing research, comparing notes. The story of Balangiga becomes less about us versus them and more about understanding why things happened and how to prevent them from happening again. Schools in both countries begin teaching more complete versions of the story. Children learn not just about the massacre or just about the retaliation, but about the full, complex truth. The bells ring every Sunday now in Balangiga. Their sound carries the same melody it carried in 1854 when they were first cast. The same melody interrupted by violence in 1901, the same melody restored by forgiveness in 2018. But here's the most powerful part of this story. In Wyoming, at F.E. Warren Air Force Base, there's now an empty display case where the Balangiga Bells once Saturday. But it's not really empty. There's a plaque that tells the full story, the massacre, the taking of the bells, and their eventual return. It's a reminder that true military honor sometimes means letting go. And in Balangiga, the bells ring not just for Sunday Mass, but for special occasions, weddings, baptisms, festival. They ring for life continuing, for communities healing, for the radical idea that justice delayed doesn't have to mean justice denied. The hidden history of the Balangiga Bells isn't really about bells at all. It's about the price of violence and the possibility of redemption. It's about how historical wounds can fester for generations, but also how they can heal when people choose courage over convenience. It's about the difference between winning and being right. Today, if you visit Balangiga, you can hear those bells ring. Their bronze voices carry across the water with a message that took 117 years to deliver. Some fights are worth having. Some victories are worth winning. But the greatest victory of all is knowing when to stop fighting and start healing. The bells of Balangiga are home. They ring not in triumph, but in hope. And their song asks us all a simple question: what would our world look like if